doing today, sir?
Doing great. I mean, this is the dream. I'm serious.
Right. And by the way, this has to be. I mean, it's a lot of people wait their whole career to have reviews and a film that strikes people so strongly.
Right.
You know, it's great. When did you realize? Was it on set that you realized that we're making something special, or is it almost like you need to see the finished film to know how it's going to come together?
I think it's all the above. I think I was just saying in another interview that we finished day one and we shot pretty much sequentially. So we finished that scene with Marcy in the bedroom that opens the film, and a number of other scenes on the first day. And I thought to myself, he's not directing me to be demonstrative. This is good. Like here, you know, we're all on the same page here. And then I think there was a feeling when we finished that we had made something special. And certainly, I remember coming back to New York and meeting with my agents and looking at some other projects. And I remember even having a feeling then and saying, you know, you guys, I think I can take a little bit of a pause because I feel really good about what we did in Italy. And then it was just seeing it at Sundance for the first time and having an authentic experience as a viewer that I'm sure not everybody's going to have watching it, because to think that would be to be naive, but certainly it's been very gratifying to see a number of people have a positive reaction to it, and particularly Michael Stuhlbarg's monologue at the end of the film, and to hear people say that they had either had a parent like that or had a deep desire to have a parent like that. It's very moving to be a part of anything, to be infinitesimally involved with something like that. So
completely. I've spoken to a lot of actors that talk about how when they're in the middle of a performance, that when they go home at night, they almost have to not method like Daniel Day-Lewis, but like they stay in character a little bit because it helps them with their performance. And some people I've spoken to, it's like a light switch. They get off set, they flip the switch, they're done until they come back the next day. For you, in a role like this, how much are you staying in maybe the mindset off when you go home, and how much is it for you, you're able to just, you know, it's a light switch?
I think it depends on the day, really, and you kind of self-diagnose almost like a golf caddy or something with a golfer, and to figure out maybe you do need a little bit more character research that night, or maybe you go back to the source material, or maybe you work on the dialect or what have you. Or often the prescription can be, okay, totally forget it, put on Family Guy, you know, put on Netflix, whatever it is.
Sure.
You know, because it's tough to watch movies when you're shooting something. It can be intimidating, so I'll watch a lot of documentaries or cartoons or what have you. I will say, like, I know a big thing, or a big part of my experience with Call Me By Your Name, but also on the projects like Beautiful Boy I've worked on since that are based on source material, is that in the pre-production process, you almost militantly become the character and forget any and all actor or storytelling instincts towards not being boring, and just almost rigidly focus on what that person's experience would be like. And for Call Me By Your Name, it was listening to that kind of music from the 80s, or listening to a lot of Bach or Ravel or Busoni or Liszt or what have you. But then I find once I start a project, then it's very much you bring out the portable speaker and listen to the contemporaneous music or whatever, because you've done the research then. Sure. and you have it in you. And then it's no longer about, you know, acting in front of the mirror, acting for yourself, or creating this character within your headspace, but rather being a good ensemble member, being a good storyteller, communicating the story to the audience in a way that's makes sense with what the source material was when Andre Osman wrote, and then just hoping for the best, and then beyond any sort of character traits or little mannerisms that you think out for yourself, like I said, you become an ensemble member, you become one with the relationship in the story, where it's less about what you're doing and more that this love story between the boys comes across.
Sure. A lot of actors I speak to, they talk about, like, some people love the Clint Eastwood method of shooting the rehearsal, doing a take or two, and trying to move on. And others love the Fincher method, like 40, 50 takes. What do you typically like to do, and how does Luca like to do it? And maybe how does that, you know?
Man, these are such great questions. I'm shocked anybody would even pay half a thought to what I have to say about this. But I think, again, it just depends on what the project is for me. For something like this, it's very much, I like to leave it to the moment. Like, we would rehearse, but God forbid you get it right in rehearsal, then with something as intimate and
so
specific to the moment.
Are you going full force in the rehearsal, or are you...
No. In fact, no. I find I like, especially in film, certainly this is not the experience on stage. On stage, you're trying to give it each time to try to figure it out. In the plays I've done, that's the approach I have. But in film, you almost want to give a rehearsal with the director, where where you feel like the director's like, why is he doing it like that or whatever. So on the day you can bring it and kind of, you don't want to set yourself up for failure by doing it really great in a rehearsal or in an audition and then not being able to bring it on the day. That was another amazing thing about not having to read for this in advance. I had the belief and the knowledge that Luca desired me as an actor, which is rare as a young actor because people really don't know. I don't have a lot of work behind me. So, and so rightfully, there's a not suspicion, but a trepidation towards it. So on a project like this, especially because we're shooting on film, 2-3 takes and you save whatever behaviorally will play out. And what the truth of that is physically, and specifically to this film, it's such a push and pull wrestling match of sorts between these two characters. You kind of save it for the moment, save for the very, intimate or more sexually out there stuff that you want to block out a little bit more carefully. And on a project like Beautiful Boy, which is a film I did this past spring with Steve Carell.
Very familiar. I'm looking forward to it.
And I can't wait to see it either. And that's also how Felix van Groeningen, the director of that project, who did Broken Circle Breakdown and a number of other excellent films, likes to work, is to do like 14 to 16 takes. And that it doesn't give you room at the top of the number of takes you do. In fact, I'm sure a lot of the takes that were used in that film are things that were at the top, and yet it gives you room to keep playing and to keep finding and to keep going and to keep going. And it was crucial to the nature of that project because so many scenes, as is only truthful to the circumstance of being in rehab at a young age or dealing with addiction at a young age, these were emotional climaxes that, as an actor, it would almost be unhealthy to be able to bring it out of yourself like that on cue. So there sometimes was the requisite of doing 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 takes, and then something happens on the 12th one or whatever. And then yet I can think of a scene we did outside in San Francisco at 3 a.m. that's very much one of these emotional climaxes, and it was freezing and I was in a t-shirt, and it was one of those ones we got almost right away. So it depends on the day too. It depends how you wake up.
I spoke to Fincher, and he told me that sometimes he'll craft listen, obviously the way he crafts performances are unbelievable. But he said to me that like sometimes I'll use part of take 3, take 17, and take 42 to craft the performance. And I'm like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and
because it's crazy.
And it reminds me of a Dustin Hoffman story that I heard in a podcast once, or in an interview where he was doing a film with Robert De Niro that De Niro was directing. And I should really know the title, but then he said, Dustin Hoffman said he had, planned out his entire arc, he knew exactly what he wanted to do with it, had a very specific idea for the scene, and then when De Niro directed himself in the scene, he would just do it a line at a time, and do it like 5 or 6 different ways, and then so you could go in the editing room and just cut it as you please. So, being a theater guy and going to performing arts high school, I'm very much more of the mentality that, not to a specific physicalization, because also as an actor I really just do like to physicalize stuff. Yeah, I don't try to plot it out to that degree, but I want to have an idea of where it's going, particularly when you're not dealing with lead roles, when you're doing supporting roles like in Lady Bird or what I did in Hostiles or in Interstellar. Then it's like very important to know, okay, this is how I would like to do it. And obviously on the day you got to be ready for the director to say that you have an accent or something.
No, completely. When you're getting, obviously this is a challenging bit of material, and really. It requires everyone to really go for it and go. So you're reading the script, you're getting ready to film the whole movie. What was the thing that maybe you were most nervous about filming that ended up being like super easy, and maybe something you thought would be easy ended up being a little bit more challenging? Did that ever happen?
Yeah, okay. I think, and it's the thing we talk about and laugh at the most, but that there's the peach scene, so that just like circumstantially from what's required from that scene, I just had a doubt whether anybody could do that believably, and if it worked better as a literary metaphor than it ever could visually. And then I think both Luca and I were surprised on the day that, maybe this can play out believably. Also, the piano sequences were, and so the point being that when we did it, that was one of those scenes for Calling by Our Name. I thought we would do 8 or 9 takes, but we did 2, and it felt like, okay, we had it, and so that was awesome. The piano sequence was anxious in the sense that I was out there a month and a half to learn the piano, so when it came time to do it, I thought, okay, here we go, put your money where your mouth is, and show them that you can do it. And then conversely, it's the last scene we shot in the movie, and it's towards the end, that final kiss where it kind of goes out of focus, and it's right after I've thrown up in the fountain. We kind of walk over, and the way it was scripted like the most passionate kiss in history, or something like that. It was something really special. It was signified in the script that kiss was supposed to be special, and I think the actor instinct kind of takes over. That special is there would be physicalized, there would be something big to it, and I think not so much Army, but I remember struggling with that scene and that take, and Luca encouraging me to. This is about the emotion and what sentiment's being communicated here, not behaviorally how you're doing it. I think of one take in particular where we were kissing, and then Army kind of moved his head back to take a pause from the kissing, and I think I like punched the wall next to him or something out of frustration. And Luke said, "Cut," you know, like that doesn't make any sense here, you know, and there's
you're trying to tell me that Luca directed this in a way to... I'm joking.
Yeah, of course, by the way. So, and there are a number of examples of that where I felt free physically and free to be spontaneous, because if it didn't make any sense, as many things I didn't make sense, there's not in the movie, so...
Completely.
And that wouldn't be the approach to every kind of role, and certainly I felt like, and I still feel like, the prescription to just be in so many scenes in this movie is something that I'll be hard pressed to find again. And something like Beautiful Boy, where I'm secondary to Steve Carell's character, is much more not choice oriented, but I know I'm a little more restrained.
We've talked about the fact that Luca, his first cut was like 3 hours 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. There's a number of deleted scenes. Is there a scene or two that you were a little sad to see go? I heard there was like a birthday party. I don't know if that is, if I just misheard that.
There, you know, weirdly, there's a scene with Michael Stuhlbarg and Amira Kazawa, who plays my mother, where Army and I are having that conversation outside towards the end of the film. Spoiler alert, where we're discussing, you know, how much time we lost and that we didn't consummate our love quicker, and what a shame that was. And there's a cut with Michael and Army, that's the subplot. No, right. With Michael and Amira in bed listening to the conversation, and the conversation kind of bleeds through the window, and then Michael and Amira kind of turned on by it, and then commenced their own thing.
Oh, look at that!
And it didn't make it into the film. And besides, what would have been fascinating, what a circumstantial prescription of that scene, what was lost is the production design in that bedroom was awesome, and I think it would have been the closest glimpse into what Suspiria is going to look like in the fall. It was how the Perlman's bedroom looked.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I gotta go, or you have to go.
Okay.
I'm going to say seriously, congratulations.
Thank you.
Movie.